Ooh. Hi there. 4 seconds early. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is Tech Talk Weekly. This is your weekly show where we give you 4 or 5 really fun, interesting tech topics, science topics, something in the news this week only. And as always, if there's something you want to request for it, Creation Station at Broward.org comes right to me. The last couple of weeks, we've been getting some really fun listener requests, listener stories. We got some fun ones. Kristen, glad to have you back today. How are you feeling?
I'm peachy, Bob.
It is a great thing. It is a great thing.
I was grumpy yesterday, but I had 4 cupcakes and now I'm good.
Oh, cupcakes do. See, cupcakes are the thing. I don't understand why people want cake for birthdays. Cupcakes are the way to go. You can take 2 or 3 different flavors. You can have big ones, small ones. You can do all sorts. See that?
Chocolate only. But that was we had left.
And chocolate and see, man. Okay, well, that was a great show. Let's go get some. Tell us what's going on out there at the Sunrise, because you've got the video game / anime art Creation Station out there.
Mm-hmm.
No, folks, we do not have the new Switch 2 yet because it ain't coming out yet. Once it does, we'll get it out to her. Don't worry.
That's right. We're waiting for it patiently. What's going on out here? Our regular Tuesday and Wednesday game days. Tuesday is 4 to 6 and Wednesday is 4 to 8. And we got a Minecraft program coming up for the kids on Friday.
It's been like almost a year now, hasn't it?
Yeah. We've been doing it monthly for about a year now. Get a great turnout. Kids love it, obviously, because it's Minecraft.
It's Minecraft, hey.
Yeah, and since Friday next week is an early release day for the holiday, so we're having it Friday after school lets out, and we'll have a 2-hour Minecraft extravaganza.
There we go. Nice,
yeah.
Nice.
So yeah,
that'll be fun going on. That'll be good. That'll fill up the room. Okay, so our very first story today is a listener submitted story, because they saw me talk about Google Translate the other day at a different presentation I was doing. And they were like, oh, you know this thing about the National Weather Service? People are just going to have to use Google Translate. And I was like, no, they can't. So the short part of this story is the National Weather Service, up until very recently, presented all of its weather warnings, updates, all the stuff came out in English, in Spanish, and eventually, let me make sure I got the exact one, Chinese, Vietnamese, French, and Samoan. I'm not sure why we did Samoan over some of the other languages.
Well, Samoa is a territory.
Right. But what I'm guessing, I couldn't find anything explicit about it, but I'm guessing that what they thought was for tsunamis and for typhoons. Hitting the island. That was going to be my guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So as part of the current budget changes, government changes for the U.S. government, they have canceled the contract that does translations for the National Weather Service. And so going forward, we will only be putting out weather in English. I am pretty sure weather's still going to be happening to people who speak Spanish. And so this person said, well, Bob, how am I going to use Google Translate to do this? And I had to say, you can't easily. So what you can do with Google Translate is you can bring in text and then show it. But you have to copy and paste it off of the website onto Google Translate to be able to use it, or use your Chrome browser on an Android device. Doesn't work on iPhones. To do it live-ish translations of a web page. What do you think about this, Kristen?
I think it's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially, hurricane season. We have a lot of Spanish speakers down here. I don't know. It's a terrible
68
idea.
million people in the United States do not speak English as their first language at home, out of 360 million. Yeah.
Here's a question. I don't know. Have you thought about this? could you ask Chat GPT what the
Yes.
hurricane is doing and what the weather alerts are?
You can, if you have an account set up in your correct language, but then you need to know that the weather's happening, because alerts will come out in English. And if you don't speak English, or in my case, I mean, my mother-in-law was living with us. She only spoke Spanish. I used to tease, that's why we got along so well. She spoke Spanish, I spoke English. It was great. But I mean, it's just, there's several, we've got the article there in the show notes for you to please go read and see exactly what we're talking about, how the different events intersect with what updates you can get, so you can make your own decisions on this, about how you're going to be able to protect your family, yourself and your family, about how you're going to be able to translate and get these sorts of things into the right languages. Yeah, it's a crazy one.
Yeah. Terrible idea.
I do not think we're going to find anybody who does not think it's a terrible idea. Even if you want to save money, it's just a terrible idea to not help people.
Yes.
But we do have something cool, better. Our cool story for the week. And in the pre-show, Kristen and I were talking, we think she was on the time we talked about this before in season 3, which is almost 2 full years ago now.
It seems vaguely familiar, but...
Yeah. So there is an electric hydrofoil ferry boat going back and forth in Stockholm. And it has done 1 full season now. Remember, seasons in the middle of winter, you ain't doing nothing around there in the oceans.
Well, in the winter, it's called ice skating.
Oh, there you go. Wow, you just made me think about that. Could you put a hydrofoil on ice skates? Could you do that?
I don't see why not.
No, I don't think the power would work because you're still using the rotors on the back as you lift up.
So so it's water. Yeah, it's water powered.
Yeah, so I don't think it would. But that is a really interesting concept. Kind of like one of those car/submarine things. You're coming up with all sorts of cool stuff, Kristen.
Oh, I better trademark it.
Oh, there we go. That's going to be an interesting idea. But so we brought this one back because it was in the news this week that it has done its full thing, and it is so popular. And also with the operators, it's not just popular with the people using it. It's much quieter. You can hear yourself, and all those sorts of things as you're doing the stuff back and forth. It's running much cheaper than they thought it would, and they're saving so much money by having this. They're expecting to expand faster than they ever thought they could. 29 miles an hour zipping down across the fjords and all those things. It's really, really, it's some nice pictures up here, and going across open ocean, it is just amazing at 95% less CO2.
Awesome.
Isn't it? That's just crazy. So we have a story for Little Red Riding Hood. Maybe not so little. I don't know. So, Kristen, I am very plugged in on a lot of science stories and things like that. So this was all over all of my feeds, a tremendous amount. Did you see this out there on your regular newsfeed thing?
I did.
Okay. Sometimes I worry that I'm covering a
story. Again, I think it's a terrible idea.
This is a terrible idea by how most of the non-scientific journals reported it. And let's get into here. It's a very cute picture. You got to give them that.
Oh yeah.
They knew how to advertise. So in the show notes, I've got 4 stories for you.
That's how you advertise right there with the babies.
I know. Isn't it so cute? So we've got some very good, I love this one. If you're going to have Direwolves, don't name it Khaleesi. So here's the reason why. A research company that's a privately held company that's trying to bring back from the dead these various animals. They picked Direwolves as a nicer one to go do right now. A different company we talked about the other day doing the woolly mammoth mice that aren't really woolly mammoth mice. We talked about that. And guess what? This really isn't a direwolf either. First, give me your impressions there, Kristen. Tell me about it.
Oh, wait. You know what I'm hearing? The
What?
theme song to Jurassic Park. That's what I'm hearing.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible, terrible idea. And why the dire wolf? Why? Why don't they go with something more recently extinct, like a dodo bird or a Tasmanian devil or Lonesome George? Do you remember the story? Do you remember Lonesome George?
Yes. A big, huge.
He was
tortoise.
the last of his species. He was a Galapagos tortoise or tortoise that lived in
a specific type of Galapagos tortoise. Yeah.
Who was the last of his species? And he died in 2012.
Yeah.
Bring back Lonesome George's species. Don't bring back something that was gone for 10,000 years.
I know. And this is kind of the thing about this story is it's twofold. One, what you just said, why are we doing something like this or the mammoth or the Tasmanian tiger, devil? It's a Tasmanian tiger.
It's a Tasmanian tiger. Sorry.
Tasmanian wolf. It's a wolf-like creature. It's
like a big dog.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a marsupial.
It's a marsupial.
It's a great example of an animal that existed in the wild, was doing fine, even when humans moved into Australia, and then we drove it to extinction by killing it because we didn't like it eating the sheep. Same thing is going to happen with these wolves. If they were really dire wolves, we'd be hunting them out because they are so big, they'd be taking down, entire herds of moose.
Yeah, they're
That's why they don't exist
3
anymore.
feet tall to begin with.
Yeah. Well, regular wolves are 3 feet tall. These things are huge.
Oh no, they're taller than a regular wolf.
Yeah, no. Dire wolves are insanely large. And we do not have dire wolves. Let's be very clear about that. What we have is regular gray wolves with 3 genes that have been tweaked to create the white fur of the dire wolf. So they look cute. And then 2 other ones, and one of them is supposed to be affecting their size, but we won't know for a couple of years because that's how long it would take to see if they actually do continue to grow past what a normal wolf would grow.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to Jurassic Park from here.
Yeah.
I mean, we learn nothing from movies, Bob?
This is why I don't watch movies. I don't want to know. Don't spoil the future for no.
Well, in Jurassic Park, they substituted what frog. I think it was frog DNA.
Frog DNA. I did read the books.
Okay.
I actually saw the first movie. I just didn't see the rest of them.
Yeah. Terrible idea. Terrible.
Yeah. It's a thing where they really need to figure out why are they doing it, and then are we going to reward a company for doing this? Because remember, this is a private company, and as soon as they released this information about people about this, they also revealed that, when we showed this to a few private investors, they gave them a few more $1 million. And now that it's out there in public like this, and now they got some other people coming to them say, wait, we want to give you money too. So it is very much a media thing to try and achieve this private equity sort of idea.
And what do those people who are donating all those millions of dollars want to recreate?
Yeah. Well, and there's a legitimate concern about that. How much money are you pouring into something like this as a vanity project that you could be spending on something else? And or bring back the dodo, like you said. I mean, that's one of my favorites because they are on an isolated island. We can do that again. We can create this animal that does all the same things that the dodo does. We still have remains. I'd love to see passenger pigeons back.
Oh yeah, that would be a good one.
That would be a lot harder, especially down here in South Florida. Now that we have the monk parakeets, they're an invasive species from Brazil that are in South Florida. If you're not familiar with us, down here, but they have filled the same eco niche that the passenger pigeon did. So I'm kind of vaguely okay with it. I don't like it, but I'm like, okay, well, at least we're not kicking other species out with this one. In any case, don't worry about the big bad wolf yet. He will eat you, but not
or
yet.
The contents of my picnic basket.
Hey, that's the bear story that's coming. Never mind, sorry. That was a bad joke, as if I ever have any good ones. But thank you for that segue there, because they actually talked about that in this article. So this was a local article from South Florida that got picked up all around the country for how do you fix your brain, so to speak. And are people who are doing Wordle and doing those other kinds of games, Sudoku and all those other things, are you actually helping your brain, yes or no? And it
I hope
turns
so.
out, well, no, but yes. Because it's forcing your brain to think, which is a good thing. It turns out they suspect, they're not certain, they suspect that what's actually happening is you are using your brain at a certain time of day because the new Wordle comes out in the morning. So you wake up in the morning and you do the new Wordle or you do the new puzzle, which forces your brain to start thinking earlier in the day, and it stays active for longer. And so it keeps your brain moving. And then as long as you have gotten good sleep and you eat and you drink your water, etc., and now you've got your brain activity all synced in the morning, it keeps your brain active and more in tune and in better health than if you just pick up the afternoon paper and try to do a crossword puzzle.
I don't know. I like the Wordle. I hope it's helping my brain.
It should. I mean, it's supposed to. I have friends who do. I have never actually done one.
Really?
I don't do games. I know that sounds weird coming from me.
Yes, it does very much.
But I've the games that I do run, I take a lot of my time and energy, and are pretty much keeping my brain going. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, Dungeon Master.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me
16,000 pages of a wiki later. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you. I recently went out to visit my parents, and my brother.
Yeah.
So my brother, I was staying with my brother, and he says, "Hey, do you do the Wordle and the mini crossword and all the New York Times games, basically?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I've only been doing the full crossword puzzle for over 10-ish years or more. Something my dad and I bonded over, because he was a big crossword puzzle person. And so my brother thought he was pretty hot stuff, like, "Oh, look." And he sent me his results. I did the mini in 8 minutes. So I did the mini. I'm like, send him my results. I did it in 4. He did it in 4. I did it in 2. He did it in a minute. I did it in 30 seconds. And so every day now since I've been back, and I went out like the second week of March. So just a few weeks ago. Every day now we're sending each other our little updates.
That is awesome.
Now here's where the brain health comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you the amount of joy that I feel kicking my brother's butt every day. And on all these games.
You picked up exactly on the last part of this study and of the story. It is very much the social aspect of doing it that helps you fix it in your brain. Because as you get Alzheimer's and other things, you start losing your current memories. Doing these sorts of things and associating them with people that you've already known, and now you're doing a new thing with a person, helps fix those things in your brain. And it might actually keep some of those tau things that messing up with your brain to help
the amyloid.
Yeah, amyloid things. They suspect it might actually help them dissolve in the brain. So it's really cool.
I also read an article that certain sleeping medication.
There's so much brain activity going on. That was a very cool little pun there. Wow. So much brain study activity going on that it's hard to keep up with all the things. And I always try to make sure if we're going to give you a story, it's something that's completed and done and been peer reviewed, not just, we're going to toss this out here by now. Which is this other story, which is really, really weird. We covered, again, bringing back the stuff from the asteroid that we covered that last year when the probe finally got back to Earth. They're now figuring out that all the stuff for your brain is part of that asteroid. Now, it doesn't mean that it is a brain. This is what they're trying to figure out. How do you, because if you just gave this study to other scientists, they'd be like, well, yeah, that's a weird looking brain, but that's a brain. It's just weird.
Well, I think in your, when you sent it to me as a story, it said consciousness without a brain.
Uh-huh.
And I was going to say, yeah, just turn on your TV. There's plenty of evidence of consciousness without brains.
Yeah, I know. There is that too. But so basically what they have found is all of the proteins, all of the stuff is there in the right amounts that it could be consciousness, but it's not. It's obviously, it's a rock. It's not conscious, at least as far as anybody can figure it out in our current understanding of how the universe works. But now they're having to rethink, how do you actually define what is conscious and what is not? Because what happens with this kind of stuff, and it gets in the quantum theory, and it is bizarre and weird, and it's like, no, I don't like the idea that the asteroid could be considered conscious or part of a brain, but I'm not sure I think
gives new meaning.
Matter.
It gives new meaning to the term pet rock.
Oh, there. That's okay. We're ending it on that one. That's the line to end this on today. By the way, there is a bonus story in the show notes for anybody. You got to go read up on it. The SETI Institute put out a new study on the actual percentage of whether there's real life out there, and it does relate to this topic from Popular Mechanics. So, go read that one and see if you like it. Thank you so much for being on, Miss Kristen.
Thank you, Bob.
It's awesome to have you on. You know what? The next time we have you on, we'll have to revisit another one of our old stories.
All right.
I don't know what I don't know what it'll be, but we'll come up with something.
All right.
And if there is a place, a person, a story you want to see featured on the show, reach out, creationstation@broward.org, or just subscribe and catch us all every time. Have a fun time, everybody.